Joe Leigh here for Seconds Out with Eddie Hearn. Eddie, I know your dad's a big fan of fishing. Do you ever have time for a spot on the lake?
Only with him, I'm pretty useless to be honest with you, but I've managed to catch about 10 fish so far, but the average weight is about an ounce, so I don't think I'm going to be threatening the leaderboard.
Right, we'll get on to the boxing then, something you know a lot more about, I'd say. So we did a show for Seconds Out a couple of days ago, and I was backing the pay-per-view price because I'm not just saying it because you're here. I genuinely believe there's reasons why it should be £20, but a lot of people got onto me for that. I just want you to sort of prove why it is worth £20 because a lot of people sort of say it's not worthy of being paid.
Well, that's the new pay-per-view price, isn't it? So I can't remember if White Rivas was $19.99, but Taylor against Prograis was, and so was Campbell against Lomachenko. So I just keep saying, like, you've got to ask yourself this: is Whyte Povetkin in a final eliminator that the winner fights Tyson Fury and Taylor against Pursoon better than White Rivas and Dave Allen against David Price? And if you say no, you're a pillock. So therefore, that fight did great numbers. This fight will do great numbers too. So we have no crowd. We're losing a load of money on the event if it makes you feel more comfortable. Do you know what I mean? So therefore, this is the way that we can make the fight happen. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Tell me a pay-per-view card I've done that hasn't given you great value for money. Bellew Cleveland, when was that? 6 years ago? So, you know, my reputation should say it all, and we believe once again this is a great show.
Now, of course, it was only a matter of time before I asked you about Frank Warren. He did an interview with Danny Flexen a couple of days ago, and he said how AJ was sort of your big break for Matchroom, which is fair enough. But how long do you think it would have taken you to get to where you are now without AJ?
AJ wasn't our first break for Matchroom. Our first break for Matchroom was Sky getting rid of the other promoters and giving me the exclusive contract. That came well before AJ. And also, Carl Froch against Lucien Butte, Carl Froch against Mikhail Kessler, Carl Froch against George Groves, 80,000 at Wembley. That was probably the big breakthrough. AJ's been a huge part of our success, but that comes with domination of the industry. So, yeah, I mean, you need great fighters. You need to get lucky along the way. But you know, the whole Frank Warren stuff's interesting. It's quite confusing, really, right? When you get on top and you overcome that, why the fuck would you go, actually, why don't I help you come back, you know, to the surface? Well, we do have an obligation to our fighters to make the best fights possible and to make them the most money. We do have an obligation to fight fans to make great fights, and we have an obligation to our broadcaster. So, if any fights that get made or collaboration are good for Matchroom, our fighters and our broadcasters, we will consider it. If not, I don't really see why we should. To be honest with you, I'm not trying to be arrogant, I'm not trying to have a big ego, but I've worked my bollocks off for 10 years to become number one. You know, I've spent time away from the family, I've travelled all over the world, I've fucking probably on the verge of a heart attack a few times. So it ain't a charity where we just go, actually, yeah, don't worry about everything in the past, come on, up you come with us again. So, but I'm going to have the conversation. We should have more dialogue because it's quite strange that we've never spoken. So that's progress in itself. But, you know, and I don't mean to be arrogant about helping them out and giving them a leg up, but I've worked hard to get in this position. So I'm not willing to roll over and just play friends.
Out of, I think there was 11 fights proposed, how many do you think realistically could happen?
Some of them have already been ordered. So Conor Benn against Jenkins. I mean, but this, you know, we were trying to make Conor Benn Jenkins for a month, and they were over the moon with the. Jenkins was over the moon with the offer, but Frank wouldn't let him do it. So it's all very well saying that. Andrade against Williams has been ordered. Of the other ones, I weren't really mad on any of the others other than Boazzi against Yard. That's the one for me that is a huge fight for 2021. And that's a Sky Sports box office fight. Could do big buys and sell out the O2. So they're all good fights. And again, it just depends on what's right for my fighters. You know.
Moving on to, well, last weekend, two of your women fighters took losses. Shannon Courtney, no way it's the end for her yet, is it?
But in the other, you know, Jessica McCaskill is with us as well, so she won. But I think that, you know, you never like to see someone you like or you care about or you represent lose, but it's not bad for boxing in the respect that, you know, the home fighter lost. In Shannon Courtney's fight, I don't actually think she lost. I thought it was a draw, or Shannon deserved to get the win. No disrespect to Rachel Ball, she was sensational. The McCaskill fight was a difficult one to score. You know, the cleaner work came from Brackhouse, but as usual, Jessica was just relentless and didn't stop working. So I just think women's boxing's in a great place, and you know, Terry Harper's over there, and we've had 3 amazing women's fights, and now we've got another one this weekend.
Talking to Terry Harper, when do you see the rematch with Tasha Jones?
I think I'd like to do it when crowds are back, so possibly in December. Terry does have a mandatory that we were trying to avoid by doing the unification with Brodnicka, but now that's not possible. So, you know, we have to speak to the WBC, but the rematch must happen. You know, it was a brilliant fight. I believe it sells out Sheffield Arena next time, or Liverpool, wherever it's going to be. So, you know, that's what they deserve. It was great doing it behind closed doors, but they deserve to do that fight in a packed arena.
Any updates on the new Fight Night Champion game?
Not really, no. We've spoken to EA. Obviously, they're locked in this UFC contract, and we're speaking to other software companies as well. With the pandemic, it's kind of taken a little bit of a back seat, but I do get texts, tweets about it all day, so I haven't forgotten.
And Dillian Whyte is in UFC 3. Have you ever thought about putting yourself in the new one?
No, he's a bit more of a lump than me, isn't he? He can probably fight. I can't fight, so yeah, I think I'll stay out of it.
And what can boxing fans look forward to for the next few months? I think you've got Buatsi lined up, obviously AJ towards the end of the
Sorting out our September and October dates as well. We hope we'll see the return of crowds, you know, but to be honest, in the way things are at the moment, it's one show at a time, and all eyes on a huge show on Saturday. Dillian Whyte, Povetkin, Katie Taylor and Pursoon, get that over the line and we can start moving forward to September and October and bringing some big fights back.
Before I let you go, fight camp's obviously been a huge success. However, you've said you don't want to carry it on after week 4. You also don't want to go to a studio, which we know your opinions on. Where do you want to go then? You're thinking...
Go somewhere that gives the perception that it's a major event, and you can't get that in a studio. So we should probably carry fight camp on, but I just wanted to draw a line under it over 4 cracking weeks and get everyone excited about coming back for next year. So that's what we're going to do, and we're looking at some interesting options for September and October.
And actually, one more. When crowds are back, are you going to look at going back to Tottenham Stadium for maybe an AJ or a big fight?
It's a long way away at the moment, doesn't it? You know, let's start with 1,000 and work our way up. But you know, I think right now AJ will definitely fight in December. It won't be at Spurs, but we want to try and drive as many people through the door as possible.
Thanks for talking to SecondsOut, Eddie. Cheers.